Welcome to our podcast, The Sun Never Sets, where we interview people from different countries to talk about universal issues and how they would deal with them. We want to encourage our listeners to reflect on their values. We want them to take the next steps with the resources they have so they can end up living by them. Today's episode and the upcoming ones will tackle the COVID-19 situation. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the podcast, The Sun Never Sets. I am one of the hosts of the podcast, Matthew. I am a resident of Washington State, which is in the United States of America. I am no longer in college. I graduated with a geography degree, and now I'm currently looking to be a park ranger within one of the state parks in Washington State. I am a very stereotypical young adult. I love sports. I love video games. I love going outside and hiking, biking, whatever is outside that I can do. I really love rock music as well, and all of the lovely joys of being with many other people, as well as all of you.
Hello, I'm Cornelia, and I'm the other host of this podcast. I live in Germany near Cologne. I'm still an undergraduate college student. I'm majoring in media culture studies and Chinese studies. So basically, I research on how people receive media content, as well how media technologies can shape the discourses in our society. I learned the Chinese language, and I also have Chinese literature and media-related classes, so it's more culture-based. So as a child of Polish immigrant parents, I have been exposed to a different cultural way of thinking since I was born. I have learned several languages through school. I also traveled around Europe as well to the US. And especially my time as an au pair in the US has shown me that there are several ways to look at life problems. That's why I came up with this podcast idea to expose people to several ways of thinking more than they are used to, because in the end, we kind of tend to ignore that there's always more than one option to choose from. So Matthew, tell me how the COVID situation is in the US.
Well, in the United States, currently there are 330 million people that live in our country. Around 31 million had COVID, with about 68,000 in the last 7 days as of April 17th. The death toll has risen to around 560,000, with about overall cases of COVID, about 383,000 in my state alone. The United States has several different strains, including not only the first one that they found from China, but they also have the United Kingdom, and the South African strains are also in the United States, and the United States now has their own strain that has been found in California. Most of the people that are affected in the United States are those of the lower socioeconomic class, which are those that don't make a lot of money, and it heavily correlates to people who are people of color, especially those that are Hispanic and Native American have been hit the hardest by the pandemic. When it comes to restrictions, it can vary based on state. The federal government really hasn't done much other than mandates. They can't really do much unless things go through Congress. The issue is that mandates are just, you should do things. It's not like a forceful rule of any kind. But Washington State in particular has a certain rule where if you break COVID laws, it is considered a misdemeanor, which is a fine of $5,000 and a minimum jail sentence of a year. The economy has been recovering in the United States. It's still not great, but it's better than it was when COVID started. There was an unemployment rate of about 50% at the start of COVID, for a little towards December of this last year when the new peak hit. But as of today, it's around 6% unemployment. The government has given out a few stimulus checks, but they really haven't done much other than that to really help people out and get them out of poor situations that they're in. Schools are starting back to go into classrooms. They started off with the younger kids, like the K through 2 second grade, which is about age 6 to like age 9 region, but they're now starting to get more of the other grades up until those that are to like 18 years of age, and colleges won't start their in-person classes till next year. I will say that vaccinations are probably the best thing that's happening with our country right now. We have, as of April 17th, 200 million Americans have already been vaccinated, which is 2/3 of the entire nation, a little bit under, which is really good. And either that, if they've got one, or they're in the process of being appointed to have one. Many of these facts that I've just said are from the CDC, the Department of Labor, and the Washington State Department of Health.
So my description for Germany is going to be less detailed as Matthew's, but yeah. So Germany has a population of around 83 million people. According to the Robert Koch Institute, Germany has already over 3 million cases with almost 80,000 death cases. An average incidence rate is currently 162, which could be higher depending on regions. The British COVID strain is also present in Germany. Since cases are in general increasing and more younger people are in intensive care with a longer stay, hospitals warn of a future collapse of the health system. It's recently that there are standard COVID regulations followed by every single Bundesland. Before, it was the choice of each single Bundesland to follow their own regulations, to make their own decisions. The German government has tightened the restrictions. For example, there is a curfew from 9 p.m. till 5 a.m. Germany also has an infection protection law, and they are also expanding this on the coronavirus. By breaking corona measures, people will have to pay a penalty fee. There is a constant increase of people working reduced time, as well increase in unemployment. It depends on which industry branch area. However, Germany has a basic security system to help people in need to cover living costs. Because of the ongoing situation, the requirements for it have been loosened. Companies, family, and recently self-employed received financial support from the government. Due to increasing numbers, schools are going back to online formats. Only graduation classes are allowed to keep the hybrid form. So now we are moving on to how COVID has affected our each individual life. So Matthew, how was your life before COVID-19?
Well, you already know because we've talked a bunch and okay, listeners, here's the thing. We've already talked about this whole thing for a few months now. And so it's kind of going to be a very trip down memory lane for both of us. And it's going to be pretty repetitive on our end, but since you know who we are going to just keep on rolling and talk about who and what happened in our lives. So for me, before COVID, what I was doing was I was a resident assistant or an RA within a dorm at my college, and I was almost about to graduate. Like, I had about 5 more months left before I was done with school, and I no longer had to educate myself anymore, and I was free from the system. And I was ready. I was really ready for it. I was constantly talking with people all the time, my residents, my friends, just getting my schoolwork done as best as I could. Everything was kind of falling into place. I had my own research study that I was going to actually present on at a national conference. So everything was coming to me. Like, it was going to be great. I was going to graduate there, bing, bang, boom, done. And for myself, I viewed my future as something that I would be proud of. Going to be a park ranger or work for a climate-based job here in the United States. And I wanted to prove to myself that I was ready for these activities, these pursuits of my life. And then it all changed. And I'm sure something really similar happened to you. Not exactly the same, but definitely something similar.
Yeah, so my life kind of looked completely different. I'm going back to 2019. So you have just some more background because it's really important for my reaction on COVID-19. So the first part of 2019, I was still in the US, kind of living this free life, no school, no future worries. I was just doing what I want and traveling and spending money and have a nice life. But and then I got back. I was broke. I had to find a job, or I found a job which was just in service area. So I was a waitress. I've worked night shifts, morning shifts, all those kind of things. And yeah, I was also a college student, but I was not happy with my major because I didn't got into my dream major. I was still in the same university, but I didn't got into my dream major. Then I also was kind of struggling with the decision. Should I try to switch to my dream major or should I stay in my current major because of safety reasons? So my major before was media culture and media law. So I had some law classes. And if you think about safety, you kind of think law could be pretty secure for future decisions.
Make a lot of money that way too.
Yes and no, because it's not the actual law major. And so, yeah. But also I just hated it because you have to write German text in German. Like I can't write text under time pressure. And so I was mentally so stressed out and I didn't even like it from the beginning. So I was struggling with this decision. I was still exercising, which was something I've learned through my time in the US, which kind of always made my mood better. But I was still I was not there. I was kind of like feeling things aren't working as I want. Like I don't have any control over my life. This was how I felt. And in regards to future plans, I didn't exactly had any specific future plans, except that I want to change my major and also that I want to spend an academic year abroad in South Korea. So I was learning Korean for that, but also like my Korean studies didn't work out yet at this time. Everything about the future, I was just so afraid. Yeah, I was just completely afraid, stressed out, and what am I going to do, So this was how my life and how I felt before COVID-19.
Now you're also going to go to China too, correct?
Yes.
Now it is that because that's now pushed back a little bit. Yeah, that's like a change because of COVID that now that's going to be pushed. Like both going to Korea and China will be pushed back because of COVID. Yeah.
Oh, it's not because of COVID. It's because I changed my major. And then, so for Chinese, there are 4 classes, 4 levels, and you need to take them each one after each. Otherwise, it just doesn't make sense. I can't go to South Korea before China. It just makes more sense if I do it after China. That's why.
Well, is there anything that you feel restricted because of COVID besides traveling? Because that's a very big part of who you are.
It is, but also, okay, so I would say like my reaction to, in general, how I felt about COVID was that it gave me time to develop good habits, like a good sleep routine. I was able to exercise more often, which I enjoyed so much more. I also didn't have had to take the train for 1.5 hours each way, kind of like 5 times per week. So I just felt I had more time for myself. But yeah, so the restrictions which I can feel, which are more now than back then, is that you can hang out with people and make films, movies, which is one of my new interests. So yeah, is something what COVID actually restricts me. So
yep, doesn't do that to me. Our government has literally no laws on anything. I'm free to do whatever I want. I will actually make commentary on you when you're talking about sleep too, because like my sleep schedule like completely changed at the start of COVID. Once COVID hit, I basically I wasn't working anymore. So I came home and I basicly just started living more of like a secluded life inside my home.
Become lazy.
Yeah, I was definitely lazy. My hobbits. No, that's not them. My habits definitely took a big 180 during COVID. Like I was not exercising anymore. I was not feeling comfortable going outside. I was definitely staying indoors. I mean, I definitely do that a lot now too, to be fair. But definitely I am more comfortable going outside now than I was at the very start of COVID.
But it's so funny because if I remember back then when I was still in the US, so we were hanging out, it always kind of felt like I was getting you out of your house. Like you would stay at home anyway to play video games, otherwise. So you saying this.
The reason is that because during the summer that's the only time I really got to play video games. Because I never got to play it while I was at college. I was a lot more active and a lot more getting around and doing things because A, I had to, and B, it was because like I felt like I wanted to be more healthy and more in touch with myself in between classes, because the classes killed me all the time, and that was like my indoor kind of time when I was having to do all of my homework and all of these tests and everything. And so it felt nice to get outside and do things, whereas like in the summer I'm like, dang, now I can actually play video games again, awesome, and I'll do it. So that was kind of like how I describe my personal life, where it definitely changed a lot. Yeah, my life definitely changed quite a bit during COVID. And I will say too that I think the biggest restriction was myself, just not having that energy of going out and doing things, and feeling like afraid of COVID definitely kept me away from doing a lot of things.
So for me in Germany, you're supposed to stay at home most of the time. I never actually know if we have a lockdown or not because I'm not following the news. I just know if something is happening then through my family members. And so basically for me, since I was only spending at home, going to work, which is a supermarket, and then back home. So my life was only playing plays at my house or parents' house and the supermarket. So for me in Germany, I don't know, like I kind of always felt that you should do it by doing your effort, by staying at home and not meeting many people and not going out, or at least don't go partying and all of those kind of things. You can do your how do you say? You can do your
own thing?
No. You can do a good thing for the human being, for the society.
Yeah, doing good by society. Because I definitely did that too by not partying. I was not partying even before COVID. I was like staying away from parties even before COVID. So
good for those people.
Yeah, they would have not wanted me anyways.
No, but yeah, and so I was doing this. I still had human connections through Zoom because I'm also participating from my major, like a club. So one is like a club where we are creating content for our students or whoever is going to see our magazine.
Kind of cool.
So this, but also as a student representative, I had bi-weekly meetings. So it wasn't like I was lacking human connections, but also, I don't know, like I'm not kind of the person who needs to be on phone, on WhatsApp or Messenger to text with people all the time. If I have something to tell, I will tell them, I will ask. If they ask me, I will answer. So this is how it goes. But I don't need to wait for people messages. Yeah, and that's why, like, for me, at least like in the beginning, COVID didn't bring me any huge changes, not negatives one. It was really more positive one. So Matthew, describe a typical day in your current life or at this time.
Yeah. Well, currently we're in the middle of a podcast, so I don't know if that counts or not. So currently I am job searching to become a park ranger. I've already applied and it's going through processes right now. Other things that I'm doing, I am like playing video games pretty often, a lot often, actually. It's been pretty video game-ish for the past month or so. A little bit before now, I was working at a state park as a park aide. So basically just like cleaning up after everybody else's messes. It was kind of the whole job and the whole thing. It was fun. It was good times, but I cleaned up after everybody. Dirty humans. And
no,
what?
I remember the story which you have told me.
I mean, I probably told you a few, to be fair.
Some disgusting one, but I'm not quite sure if you should
I mean, if anyone is interested in some of my stories, you can go ahead and follow me on my YouTube channel at Bucket of Baskets on YouTube. You can find me. I probably should make a video about my stories of what I dealt with at the state park. That'd be actually a pretty cool video. But if you love video games, that's really all I do on there. And sometimes clips from certain TV and streaming shows. I also sometimes post on there too. Shameless plug. Currently, though, I am just more of in a relaxed state. I am just trying to push myself to be better. I'm trying to increase my habits of trying to make sure that I get all of my daily things done for the day, such as I'm trying to relearn Spanish. I am currently reading a book. I am going on a run once per day as well. I'm trying to get these habits in now so then they become like normal attributes for the future as well. And so it's not something that I just have to do, like it's not a chore. It's something that just I want to do and make sure that I progress myself as a person. And so that also, like, my mindset is a lot more better now too. I was so stressed in college, and then now with when COVID hit, like I was so stressed, I was so messed up, and everything was not good in the head. But now I'm more of like relaxed, I'm more chilled, everything is fine, and I'm just taking life one step at a time and just making sure that I am at peace.
Yes. So
Are you at peace?
me?
Yeah, you.
I'm not there yet. I'm kind of.
Oh.
So you talking about habits makes me super happy because I love habits. No.
Wow,
so
that sounded scripted.
But yeah, so just so you know, Matthew and I, we have read the same book, Automatic Habits, by James
book.
Clear. I recommend it. But yes, COVID really gave me time to develop good habits, which doesn't mean that I'm not falling back into old habits. So we all are still trying to break the old ones. But yeah, so my typical day a few months back looked like I was waking up at 7 a.m., drinking a tea, eating breakfast. Then also, I always make my bed after I wake up. Just important because someone is not doing it.
Why do you do that? Gosh. Put yourselves in the poll, everybody. Put in the comments who's right. Do you make your bed in the morning, or you're like a weirdo, or do you just like kind of leave it unfrilled for a while?
But yeah, so after I got my breakfast, I have college. I try not to get distracted by my phone, so I keep it outside of my room. Around 5 p.m., I usually exercise, and then I take a shower. Yes, and then I kind of have like a leisure time, which is basically for me just it depends on what I'm going to do then. But usually then I always try to get a Korean study session at 9 p.m. And then at 10 p.m., I turn off all my electronics technologies. So I just read a little bit and then I go to bed. So this is how my typical day looked like. Now, currently, because we are starting with this podcast, some of my habits need to find a new time slot. For example, my Korean study session, which would usually be at 9 p.m. But since we are recording this episode, or also when we have our meetings, which are usually evening for me. No, but I'm talking about the time. Because like for me, usually in the evening, which is around 6 p.m., sometimes 7 p.m., 8 p.m., 9 p.m., 10 p.m., you know? And so this is usually the time when I would study Korean. And since I also have Chinese, which I usually have had time in the morning, and I kind of don't want to do this after another. Yeah, but now I'm going to do this probably after another. So I'm going to start with Korean for 1 hour. So I just get the time in, and then I study Chinese. I'm still trying to find places for my habits because they need to find some new places. And yeah. And
I can sense some hostility with you on that time thing, because I do this in the morning, and so it's great, and I just have the rest of the day to do something else.
No, it just.
So you're at the short end of the stick here.
No, I wouldn't say that. I'm glad that we do this the evening. It is like for me, and not in the morning, because it's just fun. It's fun for me, and it's more leisure time. It's fun time.
Aww.
but I need to find time for Korean. Otherwise, I just feel not completed yet. Not complete, not something is missing. So I love learning languages, and learning Korean is something I do just for myself. It's not for grades. So it's a personal challenge. Yeah, and so something is missing. But yeah, so let's moving on.
Well, like it seems like, yes, your habits are changing, and that's something that's going to happen on a daily basis, that like your habits will always
Probably
change.
not daily, but it's normal, and you just try to adjust you try to find new places for it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but have your
fine.
values changed? How have those changed during this pandemic and currently now?
During pandemic, I would say my values changed in regards that in general, I became more present and less worrying about the future. Also, the future, or like the pandemic kind of showed that you don't actually can plan for the whole future, and that you need to be flexible with your plans. I would still say always have plans or like goals. Like goals are important, otherwise you just feel depressed, at least for myself. If I don't have a goal, which is now doing this academic year abroad, working towards it, if I don't have this goal, then I just don't know for what I'm doing all those kind of things. Because for me personally, like a career or money is nothing what can inspire me, but going abroad to get new experiences, meet new people, but also because I know that those experiences will also help me later on in my career itself. It's something what inspired me. Yeah, but also, like I said, the time when I'm going to South Korea, if I'm going to South Korea, it changed several times. So be flexible, and also like if it's really something you want to do, then just do it. It's okay if you don't start doing this now, but don't give up on it. Just do it eventually and work towards it.
Good changes.
How did your values change?
I think I now value how I spend my time a lot more. I think the value of being aware of that time as well is very important, because beforehand I kind of went around thinking that everything will be okay, that the future is going to be great, like the future is going to be okay, but I never focused really on like the here and now. I'm definitely more of a future thinker, that I kind of put things off for later. I make sure that everything's in plan for later, but I never think about what can I do now to take the steps to get to these eventual points that I want to get to. And I feel like COVID has taught me that anything at any moment, at any time can change. Nothing is fixed. Everything is fluid and will always remain in that fluidity throughout all of our lives and lives beyond our lives as well. And I think that's also plays into being a lesson as well, that no matter what you have or what you are planning, always think about the here and now. It's okay to think about the past. It's okay to think about the future, but those things won't happen in the future unless you are doing something now.
I do agree with you. It's important that you stay in the present, but you can still work towards a better future. It's important where you put your effort in. How do you spend most of your time? So what lessons have you learned? Are there any specific dramatic lessons?
Nothing really too dramatic per se, but I think that I just need to be aware of my surroundings. I think the lesson is just be patient, because yes, you still need to make time, and yes, you still need to make those steps, but it's okay to be patient as well, because you don't want to rush too much into things, but you don't want to be too patient that nothing will come to you either, because that's not how life works. You can't just expect everything to be delivered to you on a silver platter or in a box from a lovely company that can give you everything in a day. Amazon. The world in general, you just need to be always focused, always aware, but be patient at the same time, because you don't want to be frustrated if something does not go your way. You got to understand the mistakes, understand how things work and how they move through this lovely, fantastic planet we call Earth. I think the best lesson there, yes, is patience.
For me, there are so many lessons.
Oh, I agree.
There are so many lessons which I discovered about me, but also about the working world and all those kind of stuff. But yeah, so I would say like the main lesson for me is that you need to be honest to yourself about what you can do, what you can't do, and also understand that some things might work for other people and some things just don't work for you. For example, I just can't watch only one episode. I'm sorry, like everyone who can do it. Wow, I can't do it. It's just for me, especially like now, since I do have so many other priorities, so many other plans, watching YouTube or watching Netflix, it's just a distraction for me, and I just feel bad when I do it, which doesn't mean that I'm not doing this from time to time or that I haven't done it a lot. But now, since it's my second week, where I haven't started a new drama yet. K-drama, C-drama for life. No, but yeah, so I just discovered for myself that it's fine to take a step back to reduce the responsibilities which you have. So right now, this semester, I have less classes than before. I focus more on my creative projects. So I have some kind of portfolio to find some student job more in this media direction kind of thing. But also because I just want to do this podcast, for example, for myself, because I really enjoy talking with people from different countries and talking about this kind of stuff, talking about life. Like I said, you need to be honest to yourself that some things might work for others, some things might just don't work for you, and it's fine. And also, just because it doesn't work now doesn't mean that it's not going to work later.
Definitely so. Now, you were talking about talking with other people on this podcast from different countries, and that is exactly what we're going to be doing. So our goal that we have for this podcast is to basically bridge others. We want to hear the stories and the personal ideas and vendettas of so many different people from across the world. So if you live in a country somewhere on this planet, which I'm pretty sure you do, then you are more than welcome to reach out to us. And if you want to be featured to talk about your experience, we have definitely a lineup of people that we already have either talked to or know, and then we want to talk to them about their time under this very strange, universal issue of COVID. And we'll be bringing people on as we go, and we'll be bringing people back to talk about different issues and different universal problems that happen on this planet and what their personal ideas and thoughts are about doing it. We want you to have that going forward and to rethink your values, rethink of what is important to you and who you are as an individual. Yeah, shout out to anybody who wants to be a part and ride along this weird journey with us. You are more than welcome to. Anything else that you think of for our goal on this podcast?
I can talk about my goal. First of all, building consistency. We have this goal, or at least I have this goal, to build consistency. That we upload a podcast episode every week. We will see how it's going to work, but we try our best. We give our best. There's no trying. There's only doing.
Yoda taught me that.
Yeah. And so for me personally, I do want to improve my interviewing skills because it also can help me with documentation. So if I'm going to document my travels, making a documentation about how media consumption can be actually bad for you, but also my English proficiency. So just become more fluent and more confident and more eloquent, not talking so lazy. That's my goal.
And if you are a native English speaker, you probably definitely will understand me a lot easier. But in all seriousness, everything we both talked about is very important to us and how we want to move forward with this podcast. But you already kind of mentioned some promotional things for yourself. I mean, I kind of touched on a little earlier, but are you doing anything else in the world of media, even though you don't like it?
I have set up a YouTube channel, Cornelia G. But there aren't any videos yet. I'm trying to make some videos. No, there's no trying, only doing. So I'm going to do some videos which are based on languages, so learning languages. It's kind of just my journey on my filmmaking skills. So who knows how it's going to be like. But yeah, besides of my YouTube channel, I don't have anything yet. And
as for me, I've already mentioned myself. I put a big old shameless plug in there already. I am a YouTuber, Bucket of Baskets. Find me on youtube.com/c/bucket of baskets. I've been being a YouTuber since 2014, 2015-ish, and I currently have around 500 subscribers. If you are not interested in my YouTube for some weird reason, I also have a Discord, which probably will also play into that YouTube channel as well. You can find me there, and that is currently the social media that I have for my YouTube channel. Speaking of that, we here on this podcast will also have our own Instagram account that you are able to follow. All of the information into all of these lovely things that we're talking about will be in the description below on this video, and you can also find them on our channel as well. Thank you everybody for tuning in. If you enjoyed what you heard, please consider liking the video and subscribing. If you want to rise some more, join our Instagram account by clicking the link in the description. If you want to see more of our warming content, check us out on the individual channels. Thank you again, and remember, the sun never sets when we are together.